Gosh, I always look so grumpy in my thumbnails. Happy New Year, everybody. What is this thing saying? Whatever. I'll go away. Happy New Year, everybody. And yeah, I haven't been on in a little bit. It's been the holidays, and I don't think I went live last week. I can't even remember. I think I didn't go live last week, but I went live the week before that. And it's just a busy time of year, and there's a lot to cover, but that I have here for you guys. But I know I'm missing a bunch too, so we'll go over some of that towards the end. Hi, guys. So the first thing I have on here is a thread that a friend of mine made that I thought was just really great. It was just really necessary, I think. Hola. It's just a thread of some of Trump's accomplishments since he's been in office, and this is just a good thing to have in your pocket just because we know what he does not get covered by the media. There are a lot of people out there that are under the impression that he has done nothing but golf since he got into office, so it's really good to have these on hand, go through them yourself, you know, learn them, live them, love them, and keep them stored somewhere. He actually, in the thread that I linked below, made a PDF where you can download it and just keep it on your phone or whatever, or on your computer, or you can screenshot it. I posted it the other day on my Instagram, in my Instagram stories. Maybe I'll make something that one of those things that I keep it permanently on my Instagram, just because it's a good thing to go back to. Again, I just wanted to touch on something really quickly because I get a lot of people jumping into my DMs who want to argue with me about politics or kind of like get into a peeing contest with me about Trump or conservatism or yada, yada, yada. And I have no interest in doing that with anybody, first of all. To me, Trump is a completely different story for a lot of things, but when I talk about my conservative values or whatever, they're really kind of grounded in morality, and I don't really see a reason to argue morality with another human being. I just truly believe that it is immoral to expect a human being to live for another human being. Thank you, Star Karma. Thank you so much. So anyway, I get that a lot, and people are genuinely, I think, curious, I guess. I don't think they're trying to be mean. I don't think they're trying to be combative, but it's just something that I'm not really interested in. And so I just thought I would make that known. I'll talk about like what's going on. You can ask me my opinion on things if you're interested. I don't know why you would be, but yeah, I've had a few of those this week, and I've just like, it's getting old. Boeing CEO resigns. We're gonna get into a few resignations here, but the CEO is resigning amid ongoing problems at the company over the troubled MAX 737 aircraft. I believe they had a couple crashes. The board said its changing in leadership was necessary to restore confidence in the company as it works to repair relationships with regulators and stakeholders, whatever. This next article, why have more than 1,300 CEOs left their post in the past year? This is an NBC News article. And again, Q has told us to watch resignations, especially those of high-level employees in companies, et cetera, et cetera. So it just is such a coincidence that we happen to have a record number this year, more than 1,332 stepping aside from the period of January through October, and obviously more since then. While it's not unusual to see CEOs fleeing in the middle of a recession, it is noteworthy to see such a rash of executive exits amidst robust corporate earnings and record stock market highs. So last month, 172 chief executives left their jobs, according to the executive placement firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. So yeah, I think even somewhere there is a list of all of the resignations and, big companies. This article kind of goes into some of the Me Too movement that has been a part of this. Whatever it is on the face. Jimmy, thank you. Happy New Year. You know, we'll see how this all shakes out, but I don't believe that it's a coincidence that we're getting all of these resignations. I believe there's a deeper meaning here. We also have the heads of MI5 and MI6 expected to stand down in 2020. Despite, quote, dangerous times for Britain, the heads of both MI5 and MI6 are due to step down in the new year at a time of ongoing threats from Islamist extremists, Russia, and the rise of China. Sir Alex Younger, the chief of the Secret Intelligence Service, SIS, better known as MI6, and Sir Andrew Parker, his opposite number at MI5, are both thought to be standing down in 2020. Their successors are expected to come within their organizations. Speaking of sirs, I don't know if any of you guys saw the thread I did the other day on my Instagram. Maybe I'll reheat that one too and keep it. But about all of the men that have been knighted that ended up being pedophiles. So that's very interesting. It's really interesting when you go through it. I knew about a bunch, and so I kind of had this idea that I wanted to make a thread about the ones that I knew. So I started looking into it further, and I just kept finding more and more and more men with the title Sir that had connections to the crown, worked for the crown, worked closely for the crown, worked, you know, friends with them, blah, 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 knighted, and yeah, that's interesting. So maybe I'll bring that back on my Instagram. I always worry about putting stuff like that permanently on my Instagram because I feel like it's going to make me a target. I really like the feature, the story feature, because it goes away. And so I hope you guys see it. And if you see something that you're interested in, just screenshot it. Speaking of England, nearly 19,000 children sexually groomed in England in the past year. The new figures have emerged after one Telford abuse victim, who finally got to see justice served on all 4 men, jailed for sex crimes after they tormented her when she was a teen. So basically they're saying the Home Office has said it will leave no stone unturned as it's on its bid to tackle child sex grooming after it was reported that nearly 19,000 minors in England were exploited in the past year. I don't know how loosely they use the term grooming or even exploited, but it's really important that we understand what grooming means, and that some of these tamer words that they use really conceal the depth of the disgusting crimes that they're actually talking about. So, and of course, anytime it has anything to do with children, it's especially gross. An Iowa facility is accused of human experiments on people with disabilities. This one was really strange. The Iowa Department of Public Safety is now part of an investigation into claims that the residents of the Glenwood Resource Center, which treats intellectually and physically disabled Iowans, including children, were subject to human experiments. So the human experiments they're talking about, a couple that they mentioned were sexual arousal and optimal hydration studies. I have no idea what optimal hydration studies are or what any of this means. Obviously, they don't give too much detail in this article, and I'm sure things are still unfolding, but something to keep an eye on. A sex offender expert arrested on child abuse charges. A Columbia forensic psychologist and national leader in the field of sex offender management has surrendered to St. Louis Metropolitan Police on warrants for child sex crimes in 2 Missouri counties. Kurt Bumby, 50, served nearly 2 decades as an expert on sex offenders, advising judges, state officials, and policymakers on how to treat these offenders. Bumby's been arrested for sodomizing children, the sexual abuse having started in 1988. You know, you can read more about it. Basically, it does go into how he was able to, as a part of his duties, he's been the director of the Center for Sex Offender Management. He also served as principal assistant to the director of the Division of Youth Services from the period of about 1999 to 2003, and prior to that as a psychologist at Fulton State Hospital. Yeah, so again, this is an expert who we're asking on how we should deal with these sex offenders and how we should manage this situation. And lo and behold, he is himself a sex offender. We've had a bunch of weird attacks I hesitate to call them weird because that lightens it. It's obviously a lot heavier than that. But a lot of anti-Semitic attacks going on in New York. I saw something, I didn't save the article, but I saw something which gave a number, and it was like something like 12 within the last 2 or 3 weeks. And just this rash of crime having to do with Jewish people. And it is, I have a few of them here, but I really want to go into it also because of New York's, some laws that are going on in New York. So there was a suspect in an NYC anti-Semitic attack released. She was arrested again in another attack. So in the article I have linked below, it has this interview with, who is it, de Blasio? I think it's de Blasio. You know, in which they're saying, they're kind of talking to him about this law where they are getting rid of bail for, you know, criminals, and they're talking specifically about this woman, and lo and behold, this specific woman who attacked 3 other women and was yelling slurs at them about being Jewish, was released and then attacked another person. So I've got a couple links down there below for the article, and then also I have a tweet that has kind of the important clip from the article where he's saying, well, gee, I don't think anything, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this woman, but, and then lo and behold, she attacks. So then we have another man, another article that I linked below about an illegal alien that was freed after killing a mother of 3 on Christmas evening. 27-year-old alien, illegal alien, Jorge Flores Villalba, announced, or blah, 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 announced, was arrested after he allegedly confessed of hitting and killing a mother of 3, Mary Rosie Osai, a legal immigrant from Haiti, in a Christmas Eve accident in Long Island, New York. The instantaneous release of the illegal alien is now required by law in New York State after Democrats, in opposition of the desires of law enforcement and even most liberal district attorneys, rammed through a bunch of series of bail reform measures, and Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the legislation into law. So here's a list of the crimes for which suspects will be liberated from prison before trial. Second-degree manslaughter, aggravated vehicular assault, third-degree assault, promoting an obscene sexual performance by a child, possessing an obscene sexual performance by a child, promoting a sexual performance by a child, failure to register as a sex offender, making terrorist threats, criminally neglecting homicide, aggravated vehicular homicide. Actually, I've got something down below too, unless I missed it already, about a guy who was actually making a threat. Oh, I think that was in New Jersey. A man in New Jersey threatened to bomb all Jersey City Jews just days after the kosher grocery store attack that happened. And I believe he was arrested. Then we have the Texas shooting that happened the other day, and I've got a link below to that. And I tried to find this video that I actually had it, but the link will not work. It will work on my phone, it wouldn't work on my computer, so I didn't put it in here, but it was actually a slowed down version of the shooting that happened the other day in the Texas church. And so basically what happened was, the church was live streaming on YouTube when the incident happened, and you can see the shooter get up, he turns around, and he fires off 2 shots. He hit 2 people. He killed 1. As far as I know, the other person is still in critical condition. I haven't heard an update on that. And within literally seconds, somewhere between 3 and 6 seconds, not only 1 man, but what I saw from the slowed down video was at least 7 people with firearms pulling out their firearms and aiming at him. The man, the first man to do so, fired off 1 shot and hit the shooter in the head and killed him. So here we have an instance of good guys with guns who saved the lives of who knows how many. I believe I saw a statistic that said that the average time between a 911 phone call and the police arriving is somewhere between 15 minutes. I don't know where that is. I've called 911 before. I've called 911 a couple times before, but I called 911 one time when I was coming home with my sister to my sister's apartment in Los Angeles, and someone had broken into her apartment, and we weren't sure if they were still in there or not. And we waited for a good 45 to an hour for police to arrive. And in that amount of time, who knows what, I mean, obviously, luckily, everything was safe. But the point is that you had, it is proof what happens because most people are good. Most people that carry guns are carrying it to protect themselves, but they not only will protect themselves, they will protect others if something else is happening, as we saw in the shooting. So, and I believe this law actually, where in Texas you were allowed to carry a firearm into church, was just recently passed within the last couple of months. So thank goodness. There also was a clip, shoot, I should have put it in here, but I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll add it later, of Joe Biden, when this law was being passed, criticizing it and basically calling it irrational and stupid, or I don't remember what his exact words were, but boy, does he look like an idiot, because it is proof that not only is it necessary, but it saves lives. Representative John Lewis is diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Georgia Representative John Lewis, a longtime congressman and civil rights leader, announced Sunday that he's undergoing treatment for stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Dementia patient. Yeah, we wish him well, obviously. I wish him all the health and to retire. We will see how this plays out. Obviously, there are several interesting factors to this. I believe Ruth Bader Ginsburg also has pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer, I believe, is one of the most deadly. I was looking up statistics on it not too long ago. About the likelihood of survival within the first year, 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And those are totals for people of all ages. He is in his late 70s, I think, 79 or something like that. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is in her 80s. These are obviously people that are not, young and catching it early. And the fact that they've survived and are surviving is remarkable in itself. The fact that Ruth Bader Ginsburg that's like just one of the many different health issues that she's had over the last few years. It really just seems incredible that she's still alive. So yeah, Syrian President Assad connects the dots between deaths of Epstein, White Helmet's co-founder bin Laden, and al-Baghdadi. I linked below just a clip of this interview, and you can look it up. You can look up the rest of it. It's pretty interesting. But in this one clip, he's talking about Jeffrey Epstein. He's talking about the White Helmet's co-founder, bin Laden, al-Baghdadi, and he's basically saying, actually I have a quote, he said, talking about Epstein, he said, they said he committed suicide. He was killed because he had many important details and secrets about prominent figures in the American and British regimes, and possibly other countries as well. And basically what he's saying about all of these guys is that they had many secrets and thus became a burden, collateral, and their role was over. So he is basically sharing with us that it is his impression that they were all killed because of that, and that Epstein did not kill himself. I also linked below a UFO video that I came across the other day. I haven't been back to look at it. I usually, when I see these UFO videos posted, I like to go back and look and see what all the comments are, because, sometimes if it's debunked or if there's another story, that usually gets discovered in that. I didn't have time to do that, so I just linked it below. You can go and check it out. But supposedly it happened on ESPN as they were cutting to commercial or something, and you can see this thing clear as day, just kind of buzzing across the sky, and then it all of a sudden just turns back the other way. So it couldn't even be, I don't think, a drone, just based on how it's moving. It doesn't look like a drone to me, but I could be wrong. I linked that for you guys because I know you love it. The next thing we have, IG report reveals Steele funneled claims through John McCain after FBI dropped him. Part of the fun of Q is watching the mainstream media try to keep up or get up to date with the things that we've been sharing and talking about now for a long time. I wouldn't necessarily call this a Q proof, but actually even the Epoch Times, which I linked below, also had been covering this a long time ago. We've been talking about this for a couple years, and they made that incredible Spygate graphic with all the names and all the connections and everything. So I linked the article below that has that graphic in it, and again, proof that this information has been out there, but I don't know what is taking the mainstream media this long to catch up with what is going on, but we knew that those things had been funneled through John McCain. Child Support Services Assistant Attorney General sentenced to prison for preying on kids. Walton County, Georgia, earlier this month, George Randolph Randy Jefferson, 59, of Monroe, was sentenced to federal prison after pleading guilty to a number of disturbing crimes. His position within the government gave the child predator the position rife for abuse. Jeffrey's job within the Georgia government gave him access to children. The child predator and former judge was appointed to serve as SAAG, Special Assistant to the Attorney General, representing the Georgia Department of Human Services Division of Child Support Services in Walton and Newton counties. Armenia is shocked by a baby selling network as the country's top obstetrician and orphanage head are arrested over scheme that sold children to Westerners. The chief gynecologist and head of an orphanage and officials were arrested. Alleged black market operation has been operating for years. Susan Patvakanian revealed that she was blackmailed into giving up her baby. That article is below. You can go through that. Ice-T knows. I saw that. We'll go over that too. I don't have that in here, but the other day, actually, we can go over that now. I just have a couple things here. I'll throw them in later, but I'll cut to the chat now so that I can actually see what you guys are saying. The other day, Ice-T posted a meme of, I think it was the quote that was like, what was it? It wasn't "Have mercy on my enemies." Which one was it? It was somebody will get it. It was something along those lines. Have mercy on my enemies. May God have mercy on my enemies because I won't, or something like that. Anyway, and it's got the flaming Q behind it. And so obviously people were kind of losing their minds that he had posted that, and then, you know, both in a good way and a bad way. And so a lot of people were giving him SH for, I hate having to censor myself, by the way, you guys, it's so dorky. Were giving him hell because they were like, you know, that's a part of, you know, that's like Q propaganda, blah, blah, blah. And he was basically like, I didn't know that. I just liked the quote. I just posted the meme. So watch the enemy destroy themselves. Yes, thank you. That's what it was. It was something along those lines. So he just liked the quote and he posted it. So he says. And it started a lot of really interesting dialogue, because then we had, what's that woman's name that she's on Trump's administration? What was his reply? Sorry. Anyway, this woman came out and was like, she runs the, help me out here, guys. It doesn't help me that the chat is like a few minutes behind what I was saying, so I'm just gonna sit here with my finger up my nose until you guys help me out. But anyway, this woman that's a part of the Trump campaign comes out and says that, you know, Q is ridiculous, and anybody, you know, she's basically talking down to anybody that believes in Q, blah, blah, blah. Well, there are a couple reasons for that, possibly. One is that we know that the Q operation is like less than 10 people that have the entire scope. Some low-level employee in the Trump campaign is not going to be one of those people, I don't think. So it would make sense that she wouldn't be briefed on it. Why she would feel the need to insert herself or even give her opinion, especially when it is derogatory towards a massive piece, a massive chunk of Trump's support base, is crazy to me. So I also think that it wasn't Kellyanne Conway. No, it wasn't Kellyanne Conway. It was some woman with 3 names, and I think her last name is Duff. Duff, thank you. Jessie Jane Duff, thank you so much. So there also is the possibility that this is part of the plan to force the Q, because now it's kind of in the public consciousness, it's out there a little bit more. Now you've got people angry at this woman and calling for her to be fired. And I don't know, we'll see what happens with it. But I thought that was really funny, all because of Ice-T. Ice-T, some of these people out there post things every once in a while that kind of make me think they get a little bit more than they're letting on. And I mean, I'm talking specifically about celebrities. I mean, of course, there are the politicians and stuff that do it too. But some of these celebrities, and it's no question that if you were one of these people that was even just a conservative or a Trump supporter, but definitely a Q follower, that if you were public about it, that you are probably never going to get hired again. It's the sad reality in Hollywood and the music industry, et cetera, or, you know, you're going to have a lot of people that are hating you. So, but every once in a while, I'll see them post. Kirstie Alley is one of them. She has posted some things where I'm like, oh God, she's, you know, whatever, she doesn't get it at all. But then every once in a while she'll post something and it'll be kind of interesting. Actually, last night, because of Kirstie Alley, I got into like this strange Twitter conversation with Melissa Gilbert. And I was trying to explain it to my mom. I was like, it's really weird living in a time when you know, you can say something and then like a celebrity sees it and then they respond to you. But this actually reminded me of my friends and I got a hold of a lot of phone numbers somehow. I don't even remember. I kind of remember, but I'm not telling you. We got a hold, this is years and years ago, we got a hold of all of these famous people's phone numbers, okay? And we spent the night making prank calls. This was obviously in my younger years. And it was really weird because, I mean, obviously most of them hung up on us. But there was one actress in particular, like a very young, super duper A-list actress who was like in her current heyday. She's not as big now as she was then, but she was like a megastar then. Would not get off the phone with us. And it was obvious that we were making a prank call, and like she literally stayed on the phone with us for I think 40 minutes or something like that. Or it was my friend Westblin that was like talking to her. But it really made me feel like, God, this girl is so lonely. She doesn't want to get off the phone. Corinne, thank you so much. Thank you. Happy New Year. So that's what this kind of reminded me of. I made a comment on Kirstie Alley. It's like this whole, like, it was just a long story. Basically, Sarah Gilbert and her wife are splitting, and there was this article about it that Kirstie Alley retweeted, and the article had a picture of the two of them on a red carpet, and Sarah Gilbert's wife, I can't remember her name, is wearing this like very clever hat. It's like so clever. And it's like a cartoonish, almost top hat, but she's not wearing it to be funny. She's wearing it like unironically. And Kirstie Alley retweeted that and said something to the effect of like, gosh, I really wonder who will get custody of the hat, which is funny. And it's light humor, whatever. So basically what happened was Melissa Gilbert, who is Sarah Gilbert's sister, by the way, in case you didn't know that, they look nothing alike. But yes, they are sisters, was like furious. And she was like, how dare you come down on them during this hard time or whatever. And I was basically just saying like, it was just a joke about a hat. That's what I commented on. I was like, it's a joke about, oh no, I said, no, anybody that wears a hat like that definitely has a sense of humor. Like, relax, it's fine. And she kept coming back and she's like, but this is such a very hard time for my family. You don't understand. I was like, I get it, but it was a joke about a hat. And she just like kept coming back and talking to me. And I'm like sitting in there in the bathtub being like, okay, Melissa Gilbert. It was really weird, but it wasn't even like an exciting exchange. It was just kind of one of those surreal things like, why are you even talking to me? You know, I'm sure like the tweet had thousands of responses. I really, really highly doubt she was responding to every single one of them, but maybe she was. Anyway, Kirstie Alley deleted the tweet, and the moral of the story is I'm just really sick of people that just need to be victims. They just need to be victims. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It was a stupid joke about a hat. If you're really going through pain and trouble, probably the last place that you're going to is Twitter. And if you saw something like that making fun of your hat, honestly, if that's what is painful to you, then you might be a little bit out of touch with reality. Melissa Gilbert, Half Pint, Little House on the Prairie. Yes, Melissa Gilbert was Little House on the Prairie, and Sarah Gilbert was Roseanne. She was Darlene. Take a bow, Kate. Yes, it was quite exciting. That was my making lasagna and talking to Melissa Gilbert about a very clever hat. Oh yeah, the Cher thing. Cher was another one who was like kind of letting it slip, and boy did she get it. Boy, did they not like it. There's one thing that when you are a social justice warrior, you better watch your back, because if you say one wrong thing, those people turn on you in a heartbeat. There is no loyalty there. So, Happy New Year, guys. Yeah. There was something else that I didn't put in my chat because, again, I haven't been able to look up into it sufficiently enough, because I would actually wanted to like talk about it, and I really want to be careful not to put any disinfo out there in this subject, because this is, I think, probably more volatile than some of the other things that we talk about, but it's what's going on in Virginia with the gun laws. So I don't know if any of you guys have, Happy New Year, thank you so much. Howdy doo-dah, myth. Yeah, so I had a couple, Jeff, thank you so much. That's very generous, thank you so much. Yeah, you guys, it's exciting, it's a new year. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. You know, I'm just about ready to go out clubbing. And this is my exciting night. Hat sensitivity is kind of shallow. Good point, Kate. Going forward, we need to let go of low vibrating emotions, raise our vibration, love, joy, happiness, and laughter. I agree. Yeah, it's incredible just even in this last year, how different I feel, and how cognizant I've been of just trying to be a better person, which I've come a long way. I have a long way to go. It's hard for me because if there's one thing I'm truly gifted at, it's kind of being a bee. And it's very sad that I don't get to use my talent anymore, but I have to like rein it in. I have to like, you know, because it's very easy to be snarky. And what I see most in all of these exchanges that are going on in the world, not just on social media, but like we're even seeing it like out in the real world now, is just like exchange of snarkiness back and forth. And it's getting just tiresome. So I try not to be one of those like LOL okay like person that comments on other people's things on Twitter. I'll either try to say something funny or light, or I ask questions. If I see something that I don't agree with, I try to get to the bottom of why somebody is saying something that I think is completely off. But it has been a hard thing to practice. I'm getting there. Snark Wars. I love it. Deep State has messed up the music industry. Take that from a pro musician. Yeah, I believe it. "2020, the year of disclosure." I certainly hope so. How about the Schumann resonance spike the other day? Yeah, that was crazy. I posted that on my Instagram as well. It was like, again, just a total whiteout of, you know, because the graph kind of runs from like blue to, or like, yeah, like blue to green or whatever. But this white, we actually saw, we've seen a few spikes this year that were like, whoa, one actually looked totally like angel wings. I thought that was cool. But I had a few people asking me about it, and I'll try to explain to the best of my knowledge, but I'll probably get this very wrong. Cassandra, thank you so much. The Schumann resonance is basically like the, what is it, the electromagnetic pulse or frequency, like the very low pulse. I explain it as like the pulse of the planet. Is that correct or not? It's basically the vibration of our planet, and the Schumann resonance, they're tracking it at all times, and so it kind of fluctuates, you know, just like our normal pulse between, you know, in these averages, and then we've been getting these spikes, and there could be several reasons for that. I don't know. Maybe it's all of these things, but I have a feeling. I know that brain waves can affect electromagnetic pulses. So if you look at the world in the sense of the Great Awakening, and you look at all of these human beings worldwide who are shifting their way of thinking, they are expanding their thoughts, they are literally raising their vibrations. You have all of these you know, little people on this planet raising their vibrations. I think it would have an effect on the planet. And it's the EM harmonic for the Earth and its ionosphere. Okay, so that makes sense to me. Also, I believe from what I have heard, mostly from Jordan Sather, he talks about this a lot, is that the galaxy is moving into a more energetic part of the universe. That makes sense to me too. Because we're not just seeing these anomalies, these things that are going on our planet aren't just going on our planet. We're seeing them in other places in the solar system, things on our moon as well. You know, ice isn't just melting here or, you know, growing here. It is also having effects on other things in our solar system. So it makes sense to me that our galaxy is kind of moving into a more energetic thing. And then there was a third thing. What was the third thing that I was thinking of? It'll come to me. But, oh, I think, I don't know if I've heard this before or if this is just something that I have a theory about or whatever. I don't even really know where I got this, but basically part of maybe there was some kind of technology actually keeping us at this lower vibration. And there are studies out there with music and sounds, words, blah, 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 where they are actually documenting looking at water molecules and how those things change water molecules. And I think we're learning more about how intentions and vibrations and all of these things, these are not just woo-woo terms that we throw around and we're like, oh, that's an interesting theory. That's like, it's like the Force in Star Wars. Like, no, these are actual real things that have actual real effects on the planet, et cetera, et cetera. This is one of the things that Q talks to us about, and I think that's why they talk about prayer. It's kind of like what we talked about the last time. And maybe it doesn't have anything to do with, you know, actually praying to something or someone. Maybe it has more to do with raising your vibration or putting that intention out there. Maybe there is a physical reaction that happens, especially on a grand scale when a lot of people are doing it. And so, yeah, that's just my understanding of it, but it's not a very in-depth understanding. I just think it's interesting when I see a lot of these things kind of come together. The Snarkinator. Us beaches have to keep it cool, unfortunately. Yes, indeedly doodly. It's not much fun, but it's an honest day's work. Not sure Kate knows what. Sorry, I only get bits and pieces sometimes. Yeah, there was a field around our Earth and we were trapped here. I have heard that as well. I also have to wonder if some of it could be perhaps like technologies or things like that that are actually keeping our vibrations lower so that we don't reach our potential as human beings. And when we see people like that have extraordinary capabilities or abilities, like people with ESP. I've known a couple people that were actually literally psychic, and maybe these things are just anomalies because they're just able to kind of break through here and there, but maybe these are things that that humankind is supposed to be able to maybe we're all supposed to be have these abilities, but they've been kind of kept from us. Suiterbug. David Suter from North Carolina. Have you had a chance to get through the Cosmic Disclosure series yet? Thanks and happy 2020. We can see clearly now. Happy 2020. I haven't gotten through the whole thing yet. I actually just tried to pick it up the other day at the gym, and it wasn't working on my phone. But I still remember how I signed up for a trial just so that I could like quickly watch the seasons that I wanted to see. Well, yeah, I never got to it. So now I'm actually like literally paying for a subscription. So I'm giving myself this month to get through and watch all of it, and then I'll cancel my subscription because it's really the only thing that I think I'm interested in watching on there. But I will get back to it. It's just so busy with the holidays, and I've been hosting my entire family both Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then we've got New Year's tonight, and it's my birthday this week, and I'll be 65 or something. Calcified pineal glands, yes, again, another way that either we are being messed with intentionally or not, but that probably does have a lot to do with us not reaching our potential. And I think I've brought this up before, but the theory that the internet was actually invented as a kind of bypass of something that we should be able to do on a human level, like just biologically at this point. We should be able to like communicate with each other across vast, you know, whatever, without telephones or whatever, but we can't do that yet. So life finds a way, and we have invented the internet. Well, I didn't invent it, but somebody did. Thank you. Grandma Katie. Big brain New Year time. Thanks for being a cool lady. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Everyone get off the fluoride. Yeah, I think also turmeric. Supplements, you can take that, or actually, I mean, like, you can cook with it too. Indian food uses it, it's really good. My mom has been 39 for like 30 years. You should try that aging rate, Kate. Actually, I went the opposite. I started telling people at 37 that I was 40. Like, soften them, like, whatever. Just get it over with. I'm basically 40 anyway. I'm basically dead, whatever. I'll just tell people I'm 40. And then I actually had to call my mom this week and be like, wait, am I 40? Wait, which birthday is this? I forget. And I can't do math, so it doesn't really. And I want a pony, yes. I'll send you guys my Amazon wish list. Just kidding, I would never. Her name is Susan and was on Able Danger about her children's medical kidnapping by CPS. Oh, I just caught your one comment. I didn't see the first part of that, but I did see a portion of that today. I know what you're talking about, at least. Anything that manages calcium, magnesium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2. I love learning about that stuff. And I've started taking supplements that I have noticed have really changed the way I felt. And, you know, I read some book like a couple years ago, and I was just trying to get myself as healthy as possible. And I started taking CoQ10, and I started taking NAC something, fish oil, blah, 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 blah. And it really has changed the way I felt. Also, the CBD, I like swear by it. And spirulina and chlorella, supposed to be good for pineal gland too. I started taking those, they make me vomit, unfortunately. I don't know what it is. Also, wheatgrass makes me vomit. My acupuncturist said it had something to do with, I love Chinese medicine, but I really don't even get it. I just sit there and go, when she talks to me, and she sounds really smart, and it helps me. But I don't really, I mean, everything is about balance, and something about spirulina and chlorella and wheatgrass and all of those things are very wet or something like that. So if you've got a wet environment in your body already, you're supposed to eat drier foods. If you have heat in your body, you're supposed to eat cooler foods. If you've got a cold body, you're supposed to eat hot foods, whatever. And it doesn't mean the temperature of the food. It means like certain foods do certain things. And so it's like this, it's this whole thing. I'm actually really interested in it. I would love to learn more about all of that Chinese medicine stuff, but who's got the time? You just find somebody that knows about it, and then you just go to them and just let them stick needles in you, because that's what you do. I've been doing the Longevity Daily Vitamins for 7 to 8 months, and I feel a big difference. Very alkalizing. I'd hate the sight of your supplement cabinet. Activated charcoal powder, you can drink it. Interesting. That's probably why I like spicy things, because I'm always cold. Yeah. I take the ones that I mentioned, and then I take like a multivitamin. But yeah, I'm really sensitive to a lot of those supplements. So I was taking mushrooms for a while, not like the, oh, that just made me think of something. Not the, you know, not the kooky kind, just whatever. But those were also making my stomach upset, and I vomited in the parking lot of Whole Foods. It was really cool. But that made me think of the mushroom thing, reminded me of something that I wanted to tell you guys about, because we always talk about Disney being evil, right? Well, Christmas Day, my son wanted to watch a movie called The Good Dinosaur. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, throw it on. He's super into dinosaurs, and, you know, I just thought it was going to be the same thing. I don't know why, I just, like, keep, like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me 100,000 times, or you know what I'm saying, I just got that completely wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 1,747 times, shame on me, and that is what has happened with Disney. I know that every Disney movie either has the parents die, one or both of them die, they get lost from the parents, they're just super duper traumatic. I was not allowed to watch Disney as a child because of that. And, you know, there have been certain ones that I'm like, oh, this is cute. Ratatouille, even though he gets separated from his family, he's kind of an adult, I feel like, in that movie. And that is one of the only movies that I've seen from Disney, maybe ever, that is just really lighthearted and cute. And I actually like that movie. Every other thing, I always regret. I don't let my son watch Disney. I really don't. But like the few times that I'm just like, oh, okay, you know, it's something he wants to see, I'll put it on. The Good Dinosaur is effing terrible. Do not let your children see that movie. Not only does the dad die, then he gets separated from his family. Then he takes like literal psychedelic mushrooms and trips, has a full-on trip with this like kid that he's with. There's scenes where like the kid gets up and like takes a whiz. It's really weird. I was just sitting there the whole time, and I had to let him finish it because he was like sad and he was sad. He got invested in it and wanted to make sure that the dinosaur got back to his family. So I had to let him watch it to the end, and then finally, of course, he gets back. I didn't want to turn it off and let him suffer forever thinking this dinosaur never got back to his family. Rhonda, thank you so much. But it was the same thing with Finding Dory. Finding Dory was one of those things I used to put on all the time when my child was a baby because, you know, he liked it or whatever. And he never really got the concept. And it was on the other day, and without thinking of it, I just let him watch it. And this was the first time he was actually old enough to really get it. And he was sobbing, and I felt really guilty because I let that happen, and I shouldn't have done that. I should, you know, be more careful with that, because those things, like, they change kids. I remember certain movies. I could tell you specifically certain movies that I saw when I was younger that changed me and filled me with a lot of fear. And, you know, fear that manifested and morphed and changed into fears that I probably still have today. So, Mandalorian is actually pretty good, I will say. You watch it on a Ripper site, because Disney ain't getting my cash. That's great. More like Finding Donkey. Yes, thank you, Rob. Disney is bad news. Psychedelic shrooms no longer illegal to possess in Denver. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Donkey from Shrek is awesome. We watched The Lion King with my grandson the other night. Evil. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that it's unfortunate, and I really, really can't wait for somebody to kind of get the memo and come out and, you know, figure it out, start making children-friendly children movies, because the children's movies that we have now are not kid-friendly. Even Dumbo, like the new Dumbo they made, just so dark and terrible. And really, when you're little and you're watching TV or you're watching a movie, you don't need a whole like beginning, middle, and end. You don't need conflict really even. You don't even need a villain. There's no reason that they couldn't make shows that are just light and fun and imaginative and happy. Psychedelic shrooms can combat depression and PTSD. I have heard that before. I like shrooms, but I'll never do it again. Dumbo was always dark. See, I'm sure I never watched the original one. I wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to cross the street when I was 14 years old. That's a true story. My best friend lived across the street, literally, and I wasn't allowed to go over there without my mom and dad watching me. Thor Ragnarok is best. Shrooms can fight cluster headaches too. Interesting. I used to get really bad headaches, but haven't gotten them since I started CBD. And I really think that the two are connected. But I used to get actual migraines, like insane migraines. I had my first migraine in 6th grade, I think, where, yeah, I just went complete tunnel vision until I was blind and just started throwing up. It was so painful. It was so miserable and scary too. And I believe I had some prescription that was crazy that I was supposed to take at the onset of migraines or whatever. But also in 6th grade was my first year in middle school, and in my middle school we had vending machines. So that was like my first year of freedom. You know, my parents would give me a couple bucks in the morning for lunch, and every day I would spend it on Doritos and Skittles and Coke or Mountain Dew. It was Mountain Dew, Doritos, Skittles, and Mountain Dew, and sometimes Funyuns. And it's no wonder that I think that that's when my migraine started to show up. Well, also puberty, I think, had to do with it. But all of that junk, it was like suddenly it was a free-for-all. We didn't really have junk in my house when I was growing up. So it was like, you know, it was like an unimaginable amount of freedom at that age. And I definitely learned my lesson with how food can make you feel terrible. Oh, that was another thing that I wanted to share. It was an article about, or no, was it just a tweet about the Impossible Burger and the amount of estrogen that it has in it. Again, I'm really bad with numbers, and so I'm not even, but it was like 18 million times the amount of estrogen in an Impossible Burger compared to actual beef. So yeah, another reason that the Impossible Burger is super suspect. Yeah, I have a couple friends that microdose mushrooms and they love it. Junk food and estrogen, call me when it's over. The green crack Mountain Dew. For some reason, every time I look in the mirror, I get a migraine. Interesting. Watch The Exorcist at 7 years old. Terrifies me to this day. Honestly, one of the worst things that ever happened in my life, and this isn't an exaggeration, I mean, definitely top 10, was in high school when a bunch of my friends all watched, we went over to my friend's house after school and they put on Faces of Death. And it changed me as a human being. I have never been the same since. It was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. So I really regret that. I don't even know why those movies exist. Impossible baby meat, indeed. Soy is estrogenic. That's true. And is it just like, does a soybean have the same, like if it's in its whole form, does it still have that same effect where it turns into estrogen in the body? Because I know like soy sauce and certain soy derivatives will do that in the body, but I believe I heard that if it's like the whole soybean, it doesn't have the same effect, but I could be wrong. I get the worst migraines, unbearable. Any advice to help would be appreciated. Honestly, for me, couple things. Cutting out caffeine is scary because it will actually cause them, because My understanding is that it's like the capillaries in your brain are expanding with the caffeine, and they get used to that, and so they stop expanding on their own, and they start to contract, and you get the migraines. And actually, I've had doctors tell me before that if I was not around my medication when I was going to get a migraine, to drink a Coke. But obviously, the better solution, long-term solution, would be to cut out the soda, the caffeine, almost completely. With the first time I weaned off of caffeine, because I was drinking a lot of caffeine, I did it super slowly. So I went from drinking like a pot of coffee a day to drinking a lot of black tea, to drinking a moderate amount of black tea, to green tea, to white tea. Like, I really did baby steps to get off of caffeine. But caffeine, I think, is a huge contributor to migraines, and why you will get it if like your body is used to having it. Diet is huge. Not eating processed meats and cheeses, things like that. Getting as much, real food as possible. Fruits and vegetables and fish. And CBD, like I said, has helped me, but not all CBDs are created equally, that's for sure. I think I've tried like 15 different types of CBDs this year, just because the kind that I was getting, I was ordering from California, and I really liked it. But I was like, well, I mean, it's legal by me. I mean, it's legal everywhere, but I have places by me where I could just go pick it up. I don't have to like think in advance and go order it. So I was just trying to find something that I liked here, so that just for convenience sake. But I tried all of these different CBDs, and none of them did for me what this CBD did for me. The CBD that I get is mixed with moringa oil, and the guy that I order it from, I actually call him on the phone and I order it. He's very informative, and he's super smart, and he's the guy that makes it, and he knows all the things. He's a wealth of information, so I always end up talking to him for a while when I order it. And high quality stuff that isn't GMO hemp, and it isn't, doesn't have a bunch of chemicals in it. I got this one CBD, not even thinking it was watermelon flavor, and it was like, it had like aspartame in it. I was like, what is the point? Yeah, non-THC CBD. It's made from hemp. It doesn't have any THC in it. I did get a couple that had THC in it, because when I went there, they were like, oh, well, it will work a little bit better if it's got an equal amount of CBD to THC. You won't feel the THC. Bull, I felt the THC. I'm highly, highly sensitive to it. So I know that most people don't feel the THC, especially when it's balanced out. But I felt it. Phytoestrogens mimic estrogen in mammals because, though it doesn't exactly fit in the receptor, it's close enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's good information. Meditation, yeah. Meditation can help. Honestly, just another like kind of woo-woo thing is salt baths is just cleansing of bad, like, grimy energies that you pick up throughout the day. You don't necessarily have to take an entire bath. You could just soak your feet in like Epsom salt water, or even rock salt water if it's just your feet. And somebody recommended that to me a couple months ago, and I've been doing it, and it really helps. And I really appreciate that they shared that with me, so I shall share it with you. Q flag on Camelot. Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool. Can you say where you get it? I'm looking for a good one right now. I'm having to drive to New Orleans, which is an hour and a half away. I know moringa is good for you. If you'll message me next time, I'll talk about it. I'll show it. I always worry that, like, even though this company doesn't make anything with THC in it, I worry about like what YouTube is gonna do or say if I do it, or if I also worry that people are gonna think I'm like sponsored by the company, which I'm absolutely not. To like show things on here, so I've shied away from sharing it. But if any of you message me, I'm more than happy to share it with you privately what I take, because I recommend it to really everyone. Oh, speaking of YouTube, tomorrow is the day that they're going to implement all of the new rules, right? So we'll see what happens with that. If my channel goes bye-bye, hopefully I'll still be on Twitter, and I'll find you guys there, and I'll find a way to do something. I don't anticipate that I'll go bye-bye. I've never had like a strike or anything, even though they demonetize all my videos. They've never like given me a warning or told me that I said something I shouldn't have. They just say that it's not suitable for their money makers. Oh no, mushroom CBD and now bath salts. There's a theme here. Soak in ginger juice removes toxins and reduces inflammation. That sounds kind of burny. Like, do you mean your feet? I'm kind of worried about, you know, like any mucous membranes. We have fun. I wish I could talk directly with the growers of my medical cannabis. My own discernment would protect me from shady characters and polluted pot. Twitter purge starts tomorrow. I used to order good pharma grade CBD from Green Roads in South Florida. Pharmacist, oh, and that's cool. Pink Himalayan sea salt will lower your blood pressure. Yes, your feet. Okay, thank you. Dr. Teal's Epsom salt with ginger and clay. Yeah, that's cool. Happy New Year. Can of butter. Virginia, I think that so the thing going on in Virginia is basically like a gun grab, right? And I keep seeing all these things go back and forth, and they're talking about, you know, scary things. And then so I'm seeing a lot of people that are very nervous about it, people that are being very alarmist about it. And then I also see people that are like, no, this isn't going to pan out, whatever. And I really don't know what to think because, number one, I haven't been able to look into it that much. And number two, well, really, that's just it. I haven't been able to look into it much. And then I worry about being an alarmist here and telling you that a civil war is starting when it's, you know, it's something that's not going to pan out. But I also wanted to mention it just because I encourage all of us to go out and start looking into it ourselves, because if there is something if there is something to this thing that's going on in Virginia, then we should keep an eye on it, most definitely. But more on that next time, I guess. I'll look into it more. I'll have more time this week. So no soy milk or almond milk. I wouldn't do soy milk. I wouldn't really even do almond milk. But that's just me. They never made me feel very good. Threats of deploying National Guard to enforce gun grabs. Yes, exactly. Ralph Northam is the worst governor in history. Yes, he is. Casually speaking of infanticide, yep, and didn't he wear blackface? One of them. One of the many. Make your own almond milk from fresh almonds. I think a 2A rally in Virginia is set up for, oh, gotcha, from a supposed pro-gun or pro-Trump. Interesting. I am not related to the person in the picture on the wall. I finally got my frame painted and I got my Nikola Tesla framed, but I don't have the hardware on the back to hang it on the wall because I was going to be like, oh my gosh. I thought about that today. I'm like, I'm going to be able to change it out today and have Nikola Tesla behind me. Nope, I couldn't. I am missing the hardware on the back of the painting, so it'll be up next week. Removing all refined sugar, caffeine will change your life in 10 days. Yeah, I believe that, and I know people that have done it. I don't have the willpower to get rid of all sugar, even though I'm not really like a sugar person. I'm not even a carbohydrate person. I could like live without bread. I don't care. I mean, I couldn't live without all carbohydrates. I need like rice or something, but I don't care about sugar. But you know, to get rid of all refined sugar, it's in so much of what we eat that you really do have to be careful with what you eat if you're trying to get rid of all of it. Unfortunately, doesn't it suck that we actually have to work like super duper hard just to find real food? It's so backwards and upsetting. Corey Good said indictments in spring. That reminds me. James Gilland from East City Ranch sent me a really awesome video the other day of all of these crafts that they got video of at the ranch. And then I saw Corey Good had tweeted it, so I retweeted it. I should have put the link to the tweet in this below. Again, I'll add that later. But it's really cool. It's like 30 something crafts, and then they also like go one way and then they go back another way, because a lot of people I know were saying that it was that like string of satellites, but they move in one direction and then go in the other one. So I don't think that satellites would do that. But that was really cool. I love it. Yeah, I always miss like half of this chat as it's going on. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for you guys, but Happy New Year. I'm really happy that, I'm really happy to have met all of you guys this year. It's been a really cool year, and I can't believe I haven't even had my channel for a year yet. I think I started it in like, what, March? So yeah, it's been a wild year, but I have a feeling that next year will be even crazier. And I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. And you guys have been so supportive. Big Hair Tsunami, thank you so much. Happy 65th birthday, Kate. I hope you can cross the street by yourself on that special day. Finally, finally. You hear that, Mom? She's probably watching. Actually, part of the reason I had my hair curled the other day, she was like, you know, in the beginning when you were doing your YouTube, you like actually tried, it seemed like you were trying, and you would have your hair and makeup done. She's like, but the last couple times you looked like, how did she put it? Like I got caught in a rainstorm. So I was like, yeah, I know, I kind of gave up, didn't I? So I curled my hair for you guys today. How much does Mr. Gillen charge to hang out for the weekend at the ranch? I have no idea. I don't know, I haven't been to the ranch, that's still on my bucket list. And I don't know anything about that. But yeah, next Tuesday is my birthday, so I'll still pop on here. It's not like I have any friends or anything to do. I'm just kidding. I am doing something for my birthday, but it's a couple days before my birthday. So I shall be around next Tuesday, and I hope you guys have a really safe New Year's Eve. And if you go out, please be very, very safe. And I will see you guys next week.